before going through FirstPoint, I left school when I was 16. I'd done quite well in school, so I had the opportunity to stay on, but also got offered to go to a first division club in Scotland, Ayr United. So I went down to Ayr United when I left school. I played down there for a year. Got released from Ayr United and went to Dumbarton, which was a Scottish second division club at the time. Played at Dumbarton for a further 2 years. So I'd been playing, with Ayr United for a year, Dumbarton for 2 years, and then I was released by Dumbarton when I was 19. So that's basically when my life fell apart. I didn't really know what I was going to do with myself, and that's when I went through FirstPoint. So playing kind of youth level professional in Scotland before I went out to America. I definitely think it prepared me for going out there because I was training a lot more than playing amateur in the UK. At a professional level, I was training maybe 4 times a week, which did prepare me well for going out to a full-time level in America. But I wasn't prepared at all for the fitness levels out in America. These players have been training since high school to get scholarships to go to college. So these guys have been training full-time since they were about 14, 15. And I thought I was a fit player when I went out there, but when I started pre-season, all the American players and all the players who'd been playing there previously were a lot fitter than me, and that took me some time to get used to. But after a couple of months, you get into the training regime that they're used to, and you do get your fitness levels up. But it was difficult to adapt at first. I would say get yourself fit first and foremost. A lot of players in previous years, in the years when I went out to America, they were all very fit players and they were signing their scholarship deals to go out in the summer, but they were maybe getting these scholarship deals 3-4 months prior to actually going out to America. So as soon as they got their scholarship deal, they were having a going away party for the next 4 months, and when they actually got to America, they weren't at the fitness levels that they needed to be. So I would say for the guys who have committed for this year, is work full time on your fitness, because you are going into a full-time football environment, and it is a big step from training 2 and 3 times a week. So I would say fitness is a massive thing that they should be preparing for, even as early as now. I chose the American scholarship route because at the time I'd just been released by a club that I was playing for in the UK. I was kind of 19, didn't really know which direction my life was heading in, and that's when I heard about this company. I heard about FirstPoint. I actually knew Andrew Keane previously, and Andrew approached me and asked me if I'd be interested in going out to America. And after finding a bit more about it, the education coupled with the football, and the opportunity to travel and experience something a bit different as well, it was something that I couldn't really pass up. So that's how I've ended up going through FirstPoint and going out to America. Everything was positive, especially when I came into the office and sat down with Dave, met the other staff as well. They went through everything in detail, so it was a positive experience I had when I went through the company. My main worry was not fitting in, because you're going out there on your own. Although you're a footballer and you're going out to play football and study, I was quite confident I could handle that side of things. It was the culture that I wasn't prepared for. I'd never been to America before, so I wasn't really sure what I was going into. But getting out to America and settling in and meeting all the new kids, when they were just coming to the university at the same time as me, so it was quite easy for me to settle in. But that was my biggest worry, was whether or not I was going to be able to fit into the American culture coming from Glasgow. But I didn't have any problems with it at all. Yeah, I found it surprisingly easy, to be honest. I didn't realise that a lot of people were doing the exact same thing as me at the exact same time. I wasn't the only guy coming from abroad to start at the university. There was guys coming from all over the world, and even the American guys, they'd left home, travelled, some of them just as far as me, to get to university. So they were all going through the homesickness and the anxiety that I was going through. So it gives you something in common. So I found it very easy just to settle in and make friends that you keep throughout the whole time that you're out there. So it was quite easy, surprisingly easy. The homesickness, I was quite shocked to get homesick, because I didn't think I would have got it. I was dying to get away and experience something different. But the first couple of months I did get homesick pretty bad. And the support that I got was good, obviously family and friends, but FirstPoint were quite helpful as well when I was out there. The managing director was actually in the area that I lived in America. He was out on business, so he actually came out and met with me just to take me around the area, show me, because he actually lived in Cincinnati before I moved out there. So he took me out and got me settled in a bit more, and after he'd done that, the homesickness totally disappeared, so it was okay after that. The coach is basically your father figure when you're out there, so any problems, homesickness, football, classes, jobs, I always just went to the coach. It was different from any manager that I'd had previously in the UK, because a big part of his job is not just to get results, it's obviously to make sure I was going to class and getting the grades that I was supposed to get as well. So we had a good relationship, obviously good on the field. He was a good manager, he knew what he was talking about. But in the classroom he gave me the kind of kick up the backside that I needed if I was ever slacking in any of my classes. So it was a good relationship I had with him when I was out there. And I went to him and said I was looking for any part-time work that was going, and he obviously knew a few people on campus, and as soon as there was a job available, he basically gave me a wee push, a wee head start, and I went in and got the job. So it was my coach that helped me out finding work. Financially, a lot of it is done by the player, you know, before you go out to America, because it is quite a long process from start to finish till you actually get to America. I had, you know, a year and a half before actually going out there to save money up. So I was working away, you know, I was working in a factory, it wasn't what I wanted to do at the time, but I knew every penny that I made was going in the bank for when I was out in America. So I saved a lot of money before going out there. And when I was out there, I was working as well. You know, your F1 visa lets you work for 20 hours a week on campus. So I was working away, just kind of boring jobs in the library or even in Subway making sandwiches, but I mean it gives you the money that you need to keep you ticking over when you're out there. To be honest, I probably wouldn't have went to university had I not gone through this programme and gone out to America. And when I got there, I'd been out of school for 3-4 years, so I was quite nervous about getting back into full-time study. But the support network that you get when you're a student athlete out in America is unbelievable. You know, I got access to free tutors for every class that I had. So if I was ever struggling with anything, I could just call up the tutor and get one-to-one advice, which was obviously very, very helpful. You also get an academic advisor as well, someone who set up your calendar for the whole year. So booking me in for training and classes, and they put it all together so that I was never conflicting, you know. So I mean the academics I found quite easy to get used to, but mainly because of the help that I got when I got there as well. I didn't have high hopes for myself when I went out there, but with the help that you get, if you use that help, then you know the opportunities are endless as long as you put in the work. So I'm extremely proud of being out in America and what I've done out there. I'd been out of school for quite a while before I took the SAT exam, so I was quite nervous about studying for it again. And I would say treat it like any other exam. You know, you have to give it the respect that it deserves. You do have to study for this exam, and the fact that it accounts for almost 50% of your overall grade means it's a massive exam. You know, and I don't think a lot of the players appreciate that fully. So my advice would be study for the SAT, study very hard for it, and take it more than once as well. Even if you do well on your first SAT score, it's always beneficial to take it again because you know what the format is, you know what the structure is. You usually find players who take it the second time will always improve on their first result. So I would say study for it, take it twice would be my advice for the SAT exam. I played for Xavier University. It's a Division 1 school. Division 1 is considered the biggest universities out in America. So Xavier were in that division, but we weren't one of the top teams in the country. You know, but we played against all the top teams. So I found it quite difficult. Although I played at a decent standard back in the UK, the playing level in my league was really quite high. So I found it difficult to settle in. I'm a central midfielder, a kind of holding central midfielder, which in America you don't get an awful lot of you know, tough tackling, no nonsense midfielders, which I try and pride myself on when I was playing. So I mean I found it quite difficult, but also very rewarding playing against the kind of high standard of player that was playing out there. So I enjoyed it, I thoroughly enjoyed it when I was out there playing. We played against a team called Akron University, they're the #1 university in America, and we gave them a very good game. We drew the game, we didn't win the game, but it was a massive accomplishment for a team like the team I was playing for, who were considered quite a small soccer programme, to play against the #1 team in the nation and get a result was a massive accomplishment for us. So I'm very proud of that. We travelled all over America, obviously, to play football. I didn't actually travel out with America, but the conference that we played in, we had teams from the top of New York, we had teams in Carolina, so we were all over the place. I think we travelled across, you know, must have been easily 10, 11 states at the time I was out there. Which out in America, because it's such a massive country, you know, it is an awful lot of travelling. So travelled within America, but nothing really out with. The benefits for me, I think there's 3 main points that I took from. Obviously the education, which I probably wouldn't have went through had I stayed here in the UK. The full-time football, which unless you're playing professional in the UK, you just don't get the opportunity to go through. So the education and the football were massive for me, but the life experience more than anything, you know, just the opportunity to go and travel, live in a foreign country and meet people that you wouldn't otherwise have the opportunity to meet, I think was the biggest thing for me. So the life experience, just going and experiencing different cultures and different cities and different parts of the world was probably what I took most from it. Well, going out to America, obviously you're studying the same as what you would be in the UK, but you're out in a foreign country, so you do an awful lot of, you know, the kind of educational structure is a lot different in American university than it is at the UK university. It tends to be UK university is very specific to your degree, you know, so if you're doing an engineering degree, you won't have a lot of classes out with engineering, it'll all be engineering, you know, with an engineering kind of direction towards it. Out in America, you do a general education as well as your degree studies. So you take philosophy, you take psychology, English, maths, science, language. So that's quite different from anything that any of my friends done at university in the UK. I found I got a much more broad education rather than a very, very specific education. So I think that was the biggest difference academically from American university to UK university. When you go out there, I was only 19, so I was still quite a young guy. I was quite naive, quite immature. And going through the classes, having to fend for yourself when you live out in a foreign country definitely has made me grow up as a person, so confidence is a lot higher than what it was when I went out. I left America I think a year and a half ago. As soon as I came back home, I came in, spoke to Andrew, obviously still keeping quite good contact when I was out there, so I came in just to see how things were, and there was an opening for a sports consultant. So obviously having been through the whole programme myself, it's quite an easy job for me, I'm just telling people exactly what I went through and the things that I experienced. So Andrew invited me to come in and take the sports consultancy role at FirstPoint, so I've been here now for about a year and a half and thoroughly enjoying what I'm doing. Yeah, I'm a sports consultant here at the company, which means I'm charged with going and finding the talent to bring on board, the future for scholarships out in America. So I'll be travelling all over the UK and Europe, looking at players, finding the players who I think have got good enough ability to come on board. So that's basically my biggest job, at the company. I think the most enjoyable part for me now, because I've been here for over a year, is to see the kids who I signed last year actually getting their scholarship deals and getting the deals that they were looking for, and they're now going out to America this summer. So that's very rewarding, to meet with someone a year ago and tell them exactly what we're going to be going through and to get scholarship offers, and now they're at that stage and they've actually got them. Very, very rewarding to see it finish from start to end, When you're a consultant, you deal you work quite closely with the clients that you take on board, so it becomes more of a friendship than a working relationship. So I still get text messages and phone calls, even at the weekend, and I'll speak to the boys, I'll speak to the girls and see how they're getting on and seeing if I can help them out with anything. So I do still keep in contact with quite a lot of them. But obviously I'm enjoying what I'm doing just now. I find it a very rewarding job, going and looking at football, keeping me involved in sport as well, which is something that I was always passionate about. So I can see myself, hopefully continuing to bring on talent to the programme and watching the company grow and be part of that expansion as well. Every year now the company seems to be getting more and more applications. It continues to grow and grow, so I'm proud to be part of that, and I hope to see myself here in the future. For any future clients, I would say first of all you need to make sure that it's something that you think you can cope with. I mean, it's no mean feat to go 3,000 miles across the world and start a new life. And a lot of players think it's just going to be football and flip-flops, they think it's going to be a holiday out there. It is a difficult lifestyle as well, and you have to put in 100% hard work and commitment. So I think the biggest advice I can give, or the best advice I can give, is to make sure you do your own research before even approaching a scholarship company, and find out if it's something that you think you can cope with before actually coming through a company like ourselves and actually going out there. I think, as I say, the best thing to do is just to go out and experience it for yourself.